Hi, it's wet and rainy outside, and I just got off work, so I'm feeling inspired to record a video. I need to record a lot of videos on this particular topic, but yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna say or when it's all gonna come out, but yeah, I'm gonna talk about pill popping prisons or pill popping paradises. I'm going to talk to you about my experience, my personal experience on both sides. And I know a lot of people think that, oh, Christy, you take such a hardline stance against these drugs, and you just don't understand what mental illness is, or, or you don't have this, you don't know. I do know. I have been diagnosed with probably more things than you can count. I have been offered every drug, at least as many as my mom was on when she died. I have experience, let's see, I'll just say this. From the time I was 16 years old, I still have these books, by the way, AMA medical encyclopedias. I always had an interest in this. Of course, then I had my own experience growing up in what I grew up in. By the way, my grandpa was on the ground floor of the so-called mind sciences in the Army, teaching psychology. Um, I was drugged from the time I was a child to teenager, and even seemingly benign things, which I've talked about before. Like it started with an asthma pill, which caused depression, which led to Prozac, which led to lithium, which led to Wellbutrin, which led to suicide attempts, which led to, on and on and on. Yeah, these were me. True story. I used to have to take a pill to wake up and a pill to go to sleep. I would fall asleep, literally, like pass out at dinner, in public places, in restaurants with my children. That's how fucking drugged up I was, okay? So before you start judging me and accusing me of not knowing what I'm talking about or this and that, let alone, I mean, if you've seen any of my videos about my mom, you may have heard me mention, she killed herself with drugs. I'm going to try to talk about that experience too. All right. So, now that we got that out of the way, yes, I understand you. I am not trying to hurt anyone. I am not I'm sharing my experience, which is also backed by science. So, those of you that get mad at me for sharing articles or videos by Dr. Peter Breggin, breggin.com or empathictherapy.org, or other people that are speaking out the truth, the scientists, the psychiatrists, the doctors, the victims of modern psychiatry. Mm-hmm. If you don't, I mean, I'm sorry you don't like what I post, but I'm just a messenger who has experience. If you have problems with the facts, go argue with them. Argue with the judges that ruled against these drug companies that you won't hear about. What? Take it up with the scientists that prove that it eats your brain away, makes it smaller, and takes away your ability for compassion and empathy. Yeah, get mad at the doctors and psychiatrists like Dr. Peter Breggin, who's been in the industry for 60 years, leading the way. Who admits, everybody did. It's in mainstream medicine. There is no chemical imbalance. I know that's the lie you're sold, and that's what gets, oh my God, I have a chemical imbalance. She just, no. Even mainstream media is admitting that, okay? Dr. Peter Breggin believes no one should ever be on these drugs, okay? I'm going to let you go research the history of psychiatry yourself. In fact, you can even look at my own shows on this YouTube channel. Look in the playlists. There's mental health, there's psychiatry, there's psychology. I used to have Dr. Peter Breggin on the show. How about Dr. Colin Ross? Okay, another military psychiatrist, and admits that, he's really into schizophrenia and people get sent him all the time. And there's so many people that think they're schizophrenic because a doctor gave him a diagnosis. He even admits that less than 6% of the people diagnosed with schizophrenia actually even have the symptoms as listed. But when it comes to the symptoms, look, me, you, anyone can read the symptoms of any so-called mental illness and, oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, I need help. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did that, especially with my interest in all of this growing up. Okay, that being said, I did not know any better as a child, right? You go to the doctor, you're given this medicine, you're told you have this invisible illness, and you live with people that also have these invisible illnesses. Yeah. Get traumatized and sold and drugged and all sorts of wonderful things. And instead of dealing with the trauma, or being allowed to speak it, oh no, my daughter, there's something wrong with her. She cries when we lock her in a closet. Crazy, I know. She needs a pill. All right. So that's how it started. Pretty much, kinda. So my teens, I'm on all these drugs. My 20s, I'm on all these drugs. Let me tell you something. When I was on these drugs, I did not know that I was crazy. It took me getting off the drugs to see what crazy actually is, okay? I remember sometimes being in, I'd go in therapy sessions and they're like, oh, well, here's, I was a guinea pig, by the way. I can't even remember how many different drugs I took. Will be all of the ones you've heard about, except the new ones, obviously. Yeah, Wellbutrin, Decipermin, lithium, Tegretol, Klonopin, like everything. Because Prozac isn't working, right? So we got to give you something else, Alexa, or I can't even remember them all. Whatever. Anyways, that was a lot of years ago. How did I start getting, I know I'm kind of jumping around because this isn't organized. I'm just going to go with my feelings and what I'm thinking. And I just hope that whoever hears this video hears what you need to hear. And if not, then ask a question and I'll do my best to answer. But, yeah, so I'm on all these medicines, thinking that I need them and thinking there's something wrong with me. And yeah, there was something wrong with me. I was a fucking traumatized, abused child that had no outlet. Duh. Right? Okay. And I remember going to, oh, well, how you feeling? I'm taking these drugs and I was dead inside. And let me explain something to you. For those of you who know my history, or don't know my history, I'm in a sports museum. I was a total overachiever. Every single thing I touched, I turned to gold. I achieved everything, whether it was music, performance, composition, stage. I even wrote plays that were 12 years old, dude, okay? And accepted to the Young Playwrights Association in DC, and then my plays performed in schools for creative and performing arts, and I was published for making mazes at, I think, like 10, 11, or 12 years old in the local paper. I don't know, opened a restaurant at 23. I was on stage, performing, blah, 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 the sports, the academics. In second grade, I was tested at grade 14.2. So that's 2.2 years into college, second grade. I had a lot going on. Sometime in high school, and yeah, it was after I was raped and this and that, but whatever. I always look back and I'm like, God, what happened to my memory? I used to remember every single number, every single equation, everything. Everything. And I'm getting it back, but I have a point here. So I went from this super creative genius, still genius, that doesn't go away, but somebody who is able to produce successfully and kick ass and drive and motivation and just life and vitality and vibrance and, And when I look back, there was a point in time in my teenage years, I tell people, somewhere around 14, 15, I lost interest in everything and in myself. And I went from that age up until my brain blew up 3 years ago, thinking I had zero creativity. I'm not joking you. I know, my photography, my painting, I know, I get it now. I had to die to remember who I was, okay? But from the age of 14 to 40, I started getting some of that back when I started detoxing and finding out what was going on in my 30s and healing myself and this and that. Yeah. But, yeah, something happened then. It kept me from my music. And yeah, I was pissed for, perform, monkey, perform. I was tired of always being the one that had to be looked at or the one on stage or the one, I didn't want to be that. But it didn't mean I had to quit creating for me, right? And I did that. All that music that I was born with in my head that was just coming out of me anytime I touched an instrument I had never even touched before. That's how I started playing the piano, by the way. I was in elementary school and I used to get picked on, so I didn't go out in recess and play with the kids in the teacher's lounge. They would let me go in there sometimes and they had a piano. So I went and played it. And then all this music comes out and they're like, whoa, you got to play in the talent show. And so, okay, I wrote a song. My grandma showed up at the talent show, saw me, and had a piano delivered to the house the next day. So all that went away, though. Like, I don't know what would happen if I touched a piano today, but I know what would happen if I touched a piano 10 years ago. Nothing would come out. 20 years ago, nothing would come out. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. Drugs. That's what happened. These pills. So I'm telling the therapist, I remember plain as day, how you feeling? I'm like, I just feel, are you happy? No. Are you sad? No, I'm just, nothing. She said, well, Christie, you're not supposed to be up and down and happy and sad. Life is supposed to be a straight line. Wow. Really? Okay, if you're anti-human, anti-emotion, anti-experience, anti-life, I guess so. But so there I am thinking, all of this assaulted and insulted my soul. But I didn't have the words for it. I didn't have the education. I didn't have the experience. All I know is my mom. And these are doctors and experts, so they know. Goes on, and I wasn't like a religious taker of them because something in my, I tried to be a good patient, but I don't think there were really long periods of time where I stayed on them religiously. At best, yeah, I'm not good at that pill popping shit, but I did try, I swear to you, and I did take them every day for years, on and off, different times, or, you know what I mean? But not every single day for 30 years, no. All right, so in this time, this back and forth, and knowing inside that something's wrong, and this doesn't make any sense, where did all my talents go? How come I'm not interested in dating anyone? I have no orgasms, I have no desire for sex, I can't remember things, my brain doesn't, all of these things are going on when I was on drugs, but the drugs are fine, right? They're medicine. So what do I start thinking? Well, clearly, that just proves there's something wrong with me, and now I really need this medicine, right? It's going to fix me and save my mind from going, right? Oh my God, I cried over my Aunt Donna! My mom and other people would actually have you believe that that's a disease, that's an illness. That's not an illness. If I said no, I literally was locked in a fucking closet. A closet that didn't even have room to sit all the way down in. A tiny little closet that had a rack that was completely full, coat rack, by the front door in people's living room, those small closets. And the reason I was locked in there was because the door didn't open. Okay? No light. door doesn't open, and a whole bunch of shit on the floor that's probably still sitting there to this day. Yeah, squished up like this. That's what would happen to me if I disobeyed or had an opinion or a feeling. I'm going to go a little bit deeper. So, from the time I was a teenager, being hogtied for saying no, that lasted, I'm going to admit this here publicly, that lasted all the way up until, hang on, 2006. All the way till I was like 35 years old. That's what my narcissist mother used to control me. You don't do what you're told, we're going to call the police and we're going to tell them that you're dangerous, you're this and that. So throughout those years, I have been thrown diagnoses at me and diagnoses taken away. Oops, sorry, we made a mistake. We were misinformed. Yeah. So, of course, went from depression, anxiety, bipolar, what's that word? I don't know, suffering psychosis or something. I can't even remember, but all of them right now. I was on a lot of freaking drugs, and a lot of those years are blacked out. And yes, I was a victim to other things as a child. And I always thought that that's why my memory quit around 15 in my early 20, 14 in my early 20s and stuff. But that's simply not true. It's the drugs. How do I know? Well, I've been away from them long enough to see and to observe everyone else on them, including my mother. Let me tell you something about my narcissistic mother and why I am against drugs so much. My mother was a normal, feeling, compassionate human being at one point. Okay? I wasn't just born and abused, just like that. I remember when she first started going to the doctor and taking pills. We still used to do road trips. We still used to go to, even though she, couldn't like hike a mountain and stuff, she still took us to outdoor things. We were in nature. We were doing things. And then that quickly went away. The more pills she took until she killed herself in a fucking casino. Gambled away property my parents built. Blah, blah, blah. All of that drama. It's other videos. She was not always that evil, self-centered, gluttonous, slothful, envious, disgusting fucking parasitic narcissist. No, she wasn't. I watched her do that. And the drugs. And of course she's on the drugs, so she expects everybody else to be on the drugs, especially if you disagree. You disagree with her and you're mentally ill. Period. End of story. I was abused with these drugs and these diagnoses multiple times. Hogtied, doors beat down. Let me tell you something. My doors, I tried to remember how many times the other day. All right, twice. No. I'm trying to think. Okay, so I talked in another video about my ex. So that door beating down doesn't count. I'm talking about door beating down where I'm being specifically hogtied because they were told that I'm a danger. I honestly can't remember, but I remember vividly 5 times. I know there's more in there that I'm just not. Some of them were when I lived with her. Other times were when I didn't. They were used as an attempt to control me. All right. So I am well aware of the tortures, the barbaric system that is called mental health. when you are hogtied and demeaned in this manner and brought to these places, that some of them are hospitals, not all of them are though. Some of them are jails, and you will take a drug or we will inject you, strap you to this table. You will take this Haldol. You will be a caged animal. You will, what's the other shit they used to do? The ECT. So all these experts, where'd my water go? All these, experts and people, I knew something was wrong. All I did was cry because I was locked in a closet, right? Like, all I did was cry because I was raped. Like, that's all I did. I was a child reaching out. I was told I had an illness. Eventually, I started to believe I had an illness. Why? Well, I couldn't possibly be right when all these millions of other people say we need drugs. And anytime somebody would come out in the news, my mom would be like, oh, let's sit down. Oh, Patty Duke, or what's the Gidget, and some other, they come out and they're like, oh, I have an invisible illness and I need to take this pill. And so then my mom would, push it again, and I'd think about it. And of course I want my mom to love me. And I wasn't allowed to live in her house at any time after the time I was like 16 or, something like that, if I was not on these drugs. I believed I had all of these diagnoses that you believe you have. It wasn't until doctors took them away where I started to realize, whoa, wait a minute. Huh? Okay, so I'm fine. Like, one doctor, I have this diagnosis. A different doctor, I have another diagnosis. A different doctor, I had a different diagnosis. And then the same doctors that gave me diagnoses, after they got to know me. Oops, sorry, we messed up. Yeah, you have a little PTSD and anxiety. Okay. All right, so you messed up. Oh, so you're saying I don't need these drugs anymore? But I thought I needed them my whole life to manage my mood. Because I'm supposed to be like this, not happy and sad. Yeah, it gets a little confusing. So, of course, I Stockholm syndromed myself and was gaslighted into exactly where you are today if you're on these drugs, thinking, well, it's just medicine. They wouldn't let anyone take it if it was harmful. And, of course, all the lawsuits and all of those things are completely hidden for mainstream. Why? Well, just look who is paying for everything. There's a reason they want everyone on drugs. There's a reason there's a pill for everything. Let me bring something up to you. Depression, anxiety, even like all of these things were never associated with violence until after these drugs were introduced. There is no chemical imbalance other than that which is induced after you have ingested these proven brain-disabling, immune-suppressing substances. I want to address something else. Not everything is physical. Yeah. Sometimes you might feel down. Sometimes, I need to do another whole video about this, but I'll just briefly say, we are all like voodoo dolls. Okay? They're not just some freaking fairy tales or myths or something that happens only in New Orleans, right? No, we're all voodoo dolls. We are affected by energies. I did words, speaking, thoughts. I did a video, The Tongue is Mightier Than the Sword. Yeah, that's your sword. Some people have health issues because of the environment they're in. They're in a toxic environment and they don't know it, right? You have narcissist parents and you don't know it. So you blame yourself because that's all you ever knew, because that's all you ever did. That's what you were taught. Every single thing is your fault. And you carry that with you and start to believe something's wrong with you. But there is nothing wrong with you. And there is nothing wrong with human emotion and feeling. If you have not seen the movie The Giver, it's a book, by the way, too, but just get the movie done in an hour. Get it done real quick, you know? If you haven't seen that, that's where we're going. Okay? And it's a really, really scary place for me to be because let me tell you, not only did I watch my mom, everyone else I've observed throughout these years, everyone who takes these pills is under the influence of an entity. You are opening up your brain, your mind to these entities, to the programming. That's why you believe the news. That's why you eat GMO foods. That's why you still play in politics and think that some dude's gonna save you. That's why you believe mainstream medicine, which was never mainstream. It's what, the last 100 years, tiny little fraction of the life of this earth, but you're afraid of God's medicine, right? Because the sorcerers and white coats know better? Dude, seriously, you people pretending to be Christian and loving God and stuff, you won't take his medicine. Hypocrites. I'm tired of it. And I don't hate you. I love you. You're fine. That's why I'm letting you be who you are. Take your drugs. That's fine. But over there, I love me too. And I have seen way too much to let people on these drugs too close to me. You will flip at some point. You will. Look, when you're under the influence of these energies, the reptilian, you know, whatever you want to call it, okay? It's not you, the person that wants to go around hurting other people, the soul, the spirit. No, it's not you. It's what you're under the influence of that abhors people like me, people who don't do drugs, people who don't drink, people who don't, you know, been there, done that, okay? There's a reason I don't do these things, because I did them. Duh! Like, I'm not ragging on anyone. I'm sharing you my experience. And if you did not see my mother and how she died, go to my fucking Facebook page, dude. That was pills. Antipsychotics. Let me tell you how overt this whole frickin' mass torture program is. You go to the doctor, a neurologist, because you have a brain infection, they're going to send you to a psychiatrist. You could be my friend Casey. You could have a hole in your fucking brain and strokes and sleep, all these other shit. You think the no, they don't care. They're going to send you to a psychologist. You have rheumatoid arthritis and lupus and MS. They're going to send you to a psychologist. What the fuck? And then other drugs, they give you medical drug, or they'll tell you it's a medical drug. I remember one they offered me for, I don't know, it was either for my lupus or arthritis or MS or something, one of my diagnoses. And I'm just like, whatever, took it. I mean, I didn't take it, like eat it, but I took it home with me, went home, I looked it up. I'm like, oh my fucking God, it was another antipsychotic. Really? That's going to help me walk? Dude, they want everyone on these drugs for a reason. Why? And I know you don't want to hear it, and your knee-jerk response is to get mad at me. You are under control. Period. That's why they want everyone taking these cocktails. So, yeah, you can like la 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 and pretend that you're in this fucking pill-popping paradise and everything is just flatline, right? Oh, well, you're not... No, you're not going to feel sad because nobody's breaking your heart. Why is nobody breaking your heart? Because you're not out there, right? So now you feel like you're healed because you're not hurting. Well, let me tell you something. You're not experiencing life. You're not dating women. You're not dating men. You're not getting out and enjoying what you love. You dropped your creative projects, your painting, your sports, your dude, your music, whatever it was. So yeah, of course you're not sad. But you're not anything. How many of you on these pills actually have hobbies? Or does your story sound like mine? Did you give your shit up and not know why and think it's because you're sick and the pill's gonna save you? I guarantee you, the more pills you... Dude, it's only gonna go down here. Again, look at the pictures of my mother. That's all I got. I don't even need to say a thing. She was a normal person at one time. Yep. I can't hate her. And I don't hate her for being a narcissist or any of that. Because I know that it was drug-induced psychopathy. What any of you on drugs are at risk of or already experiencing. It's just the facts. The good news is you can heal, you can detox. I'll do a separate video because this is getting too long about what I did. But I just want to talk reality right now. It is not healthy. Read the facts. Read the science. Look, if all this shit was working, why are people more sick and crazy than ever? More mass shootings, all school shootings were done by people on drugs. People taking their drugs exactly as prescribed end up dead in jail. Yeah, $250,000 a year. I have a friend who woke up in a jail. Why? She didn't even drink or anything. She took her medicine as prescribed, went to bed, was in bed. Next thing she knows, she wakes up in a jail. What did she do? Crashed her car somehow. That's one of the drugs they tried giving me in the hospital, which I talked about before. And it even says, if you actually read the label, warning, may make you do things while sleeping, like driving a car, comma, having sex, comma, I can't even remember the rest of it. Look that shit up. Oh, well, it's just such a small percentage. A small percentage of shooters compared to all the tens of millions on drugs. Dude, if these drugs are working, why would you need them? Did God fuck up? Interesting that we're the only species that he fucks up on, right? Didn't fuck up on the trees, didn't fuck up on the rocks, didn't fuck up on the animals. He just fucks up on a few special humans that need a little white pill that some fucking sorcerer made. Guess what? These sorcerers don't take their own fucking medicine. Yeah, I'm passionate about this topic. I watched my mother die. Okay? People on these drugs have tried to kill me multiple times, have tortured me with these drugs. And I'm doing this with the intention to reach through somebody that still has a piece of their soul. But you cannot be whole, healthy, and complete and be on these drugs. And if they worked, you would not need them for your entire life. And if there was an actual science behind it, you wouldn't need to be a guinea pig and go through all of these experiments while these bitches are getting frickin' paid by the drug makers. Yeah, you feel crazy right now. I get it. You feel crazy because you're taking these drugs that are fucking with your frontal lobe, and your amygdala, and your pineal gland. That's why you feel the lack of connection to source and have no faith that you can heal yourself. Let me tell you something. If you had told me 20 years ago that I would be me today, I'd be like, there's no way. This chick right here is a badass. Strong as fuck. With wisdom that somebody like me 20 years ago just never would have even understood. I wasn't born this. Okay? I got here. How? By walking this path. By getting fucked by everyone. By experiencing all of these things I share with you in my thousands of videos on every single topic you can imagine. Yeah, I'm blessed to have been able to walk all this stuff. And I'm blessed to have been able to break free. But you know what? You can break free too. I didn't break free because I'm a badass. I was a scared as fuck, abused, tortured, traumatized little girl that was begging for a daddy, a mommy, a friend, just somebody to love me. One person to trust. That's who I was. And I still feel that pain of that little girl inside. It doesn't make me ill. It makes me human. The trauma you went through, it doesn't make you sick. It doesn't mean you have a disease. It means you're human and you need to be allowed to feel. Yep, because that's where it's at. Yes, it's ugly. Yes, it sucks. Yes, it hurts. And you know what? A lot of these symptoms that y'all are having, I just had a discussion with my friend yesterday and had to point out. Like you feel these, yes, we feel it physically, right? So we think it's a physical issue. And then we go treat ourselves for all these other non physical things. What if they're just feelings? What if you have been so subdued by society that you don't know what it's like to feel? So you feel a feeling and you're like, whoa, what the fuck is that? No, suppress that shit, give me a pill. I got it. Swear to God I do. You think I wanted to be a crying, blithering, dark night of the soul freaking spokesman? No, never in a million years. I thought that I was born to be sick and to be taken care of and to take pills and drugs my whole life. That is really, honestly, that's what I thought. Yeah. You can break free, and it's ain't gonna be easy, and everyone's gonna turn their back on you. So what you'll end up with is a fucking beautiful diamond after getting your ass burnt a few times and put through the ringer, and everyone that you thought were your friends fall away. Nah. Dude, you know, people don't like people that don't do drugs. Don't believe me? Don't do drugs. See what happens. Yep, we're scary. I get it. I swear to God I do. You I know. Don't hate me. I'm just being honest and I'm sharing with you my path, and maybe this is all I have to say cuz I can't think anymore, but I will follow up and I will talk more, and if you have any questions, it's time for me to go. I want to share it all of it, every single thing, because I know I've been able to help people, and I know it helps people. And yep, I'm a little harsh, obviously. Don't send me to your grandma or somebody that I'm offended. The F word. Only somebody on drugs would be offended. So, alrighty. I guess that's it. Thank you for listening. And I'm sorry you're being tortured and traumatized, and you don't know it. I want you to realize it and break free. You can restore your health and happiness and vibrancy and vitality. You can get your creativity back. Yeah, almost forgot that topic. You can get your talents back. You can even discover new ones. But not when you're on those drugs. All right. I love you. Bye.